anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new file, and this is how you'll come in. If you start PowerPoint, you'll get a blank slide like this. Now the first thing to notice, your eyes may not be tuned to it yet, but they will be over time. The first thing to notice is that by default we get a slide in 4:3 format. Okay, hopefully you're starting to understand now why some of those first sessions were concentrating on formats and sizes and things like that. We have a slide here in 4:3 format, which is not what we want. We want 16:9. So I'm using PowerPoint 2010 here. Depending what version you're working with, you'll want something like Design and Page Setup. So here in Page Setup, I have a quite simple option to say that I want to go for 16:9. Okay, don't worry about any of the other options. Just set it for 16:9. Click OK. I think it's quite obvious now. Visually, you've got a wider slide. That's what we're going to work with. But it doesn't look very exciting. So what you're going to want to do is to create some sort of theme on there. You could just go and pick from one of the predefined themes up at the top here. For example, we could choose that one. We could choose this one. Okay, there's a whole load of predefined ones. What I find that is quite challenging with most of these is I like to work with a white background. The reason I like to work with a white background is many of the images that you download from sites like Photolia, they're on a white background. And if you're using any other colored background, you have to spend a lot of time editing that white away for your images to work. And I would rather say, well, you know what? White works. Things stand out really nicely against a white background. So let me stick with that and build my own theme. So that's what I always do. What we can do in PowerPoint is we can go into View and click on Slide Master. And the Slide Master shows the overall design of all of the slides. So if I go in here, it will show you a number of different types of slide. We have the general one where they've got bullet points on there. We'll have a master title slide. We'll have some other, this is again the bullet points. This is for like subsections. If you've got some comparisons, other comparisons with other titles on there, title only, blank slide. Okay, there's a lot in here, and quite honestly, we don't need to use all of them. But what I'm going to do is I've already created an image, and I'm going to simply drag this image from my Windows Explorer and drop it on here, and we can see it's currently too big. Go into Format and scale it down. Scale it down. Okay, so if I line it up, and then scale it out here. Okay, you can see I'm covering the whole slide now, but I'm also going to send it to the back, all the way to the back. Everything's done in layers, you see. So if I send this to the back, you'll notice now all of the text jumps in front of it. You can also see, because this is on the top slide here, all of the other slides have picked up that same background, which is fantastic. What I also like to do, by default, you can maybe just about see down at the bottom, you've got a date, you've got a footer, and you've got a slide number. I don't like those. I don't think they work for what we want to do. So I highlight them and I delete them. And I might also want to just size this text box here, because it's going right over my image at the moment, so I might just want to take it up a little bit so that it's less likely to drop over the image at the bottom. And then I'll go through, I'll do the same with this one. I'll have to delete off the footer. Same with this one, delete the footer. But you'll notice on this one, the box has already been resized because I resized it on the first one. Okay, you can see there, the box is the same size. This one here, I'll get rid of the footer. And actually on this one, select this, and I'm just going to move it up a little bit to give it a bit of space. Maybe there. This one here, yeah, we'll keep this, delete those. This one though, I'm going to move these two boxes down very slightly here. I think that looks a bit better. This slide I don't even want, so I'll right click it and just say delete layout. This one, like it, yep, we'll use this one a lot. The blank slide, same again, we'll use that one a lot. And the rest of them here, I won't use them, so I will just delete the layout. And what this gives me now is a set of slides that I can work with. If I want to, I can also go in and change all of the fonts that I'm going to work with. So I'm working with these just standard Office fonts. Let me have a look what else we've got. So we might go with something like this one. Okay, you can see it gives me different font styles, and this will apply them across the whole slide deck. Waveform. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but find something that you like. You can also create your own fonts, so you can say, okay, for headings I want, I don't know, let's have a look, Alpha Music Man, and body fonts Candara, that's good enough. You can see we've got musical styles for the titles. And then I might decide that actually I want to make these a little bit smaller, so I'll click on Home, make them fit, and make them bold. It doesn't matter really for the purposes of tonight, but I would say take a bit of time and find a font that you feel really works for what you're trying to do. Once you've done all of that, you're in the Slide Master, you simply say Close Master View. And you'll notice straight away that your first slide has already changed into the new style. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up my other... Okay, I'm going to put this on my other screen so we can use this and apply to it. I will actually just go back and change the font. I don't think I can work with that musical font. Okay, back to the standard. Close the master view. So our very first slide is actually not a title slide, because we're not putting a title up on here saying this is what this video is about, because people don't care. We need to grab their attention and engage with them. So my first slide, instead of being, if I right click, layout is title slide. We don't want that. We want a blank slide. Okay, show you again. Right click, layout, blank slide. That's what we want, and we're going to put a picture in there. So we've got a number of options for putting the pictures in there. I can go to Insert, I can click on Picture, and it will allow me to go and select from my hard drive. Okay, so maybe it's in my Pictures folder, maybe it's somewhere else, who knows. What I've actually done on my other monitor, I've got a folder open with all of the images I want to work with. So I can quite literally just go into here, grab the image, and drag it across. Now what you can see here is, again, this is an enormous image. So if I click here on Format, I can start scaling this image down. Get into a more manageable size now. Probably still a bit smaller than that. And I want it to be in the middle of the page, so I'll click on Align, Center. Okay, so you've got this area here where we can align it. Can align it completely to the middle of the page, but I want it a bit above the middle so it stands proud of the picture. And then we can add a frame to it. We have all these selections here of frames. If we just hover our mouse over them, we even get to see them. So I quite like that one. The one we used last time was this one, but I quite like that one. I like the reflection. And even though it's not obvious, it looks like it's going behind the keyboard at the bottom, although it won't be. So that's our first slide. We then need a new slide, so I click back on Home over here, and I say New Slide. If I click on this top portion and say New Slide, I'll get a slide of the same format as what we've just used, which was a blank. I can also click on the bottom part. You notice it gives me two options depending where my mouse is. If I click on the bottom part, I can choose the layout that I want. So I want another blank one. I might as well click it from here. And on this one, we want the maestro. So again, we drag him in. Again, it's very big. I'll just put a number in here this time. 14, how does that work? Still a little bit large. Okay, I can also just drag it down with the mouse like that. Again, I'll align it to the center, and let's have a look what we're going to use on this one. I quite like this one this time. Do something a little bit different, why not? And then, if you remember, I had the fun little bit of handwritten text which says you. And to do this, simply go back to Home. Now click on the little text box icon. You see that? So we're on the Home tab. Click the text box icon. Click somewhere on the screen where I want to type, and I just type you. And by default, it just uses whatever the body font is that we've selected. I'm going to change this to one that I found, it's a free font that I found somewhere called Max's Handwriting. And I love this. Whoever Max is, he's got just the perfect handwriting for creating videos. And you can see it's tiny. I'm going to make it big enough to be significant. Okay, so you can't miss it. I'm going to make it red. So it's quite obvious that that says you. And then we need to draw an arrow. And one of the options up here you can see is to draw an arrow. But it's a perfectly straight arrow, and I just don't think it has any character. It looks a bit cold and logical. So I'll delete that. What I do is I use the freehand line. They call it the scribble. And you see it gives me a pencil now. And with my pencil, I click, hold my left mouse button, and drag it. And now I get a very freehand line. And if I right-click on this outline that I've got here, one of the options is to format this shape. So if we look, first thing I want to do is make it red. So I click on Line Color, make it red. Click on Line Style, and I want it a bit fatter, so I'm going to click on the width here till I get to something that I'm happy with. Maybe that. Now I want it to be an arrow. So I click on, I want an arrow at the end, and it says beginning and end. That's literally, I clicked here at the beginning, I dragged it to there, that was the end. So if I want an arrow on the end, I click End Type, and I can click what I want it to be. Okay, let's make it really hand-drawn. Let's go for an open arrow. And how big do I want it? That's medium. I want it really massive. There we go. So I just click out here. You can see I've got an arrow. How easy was that? So what we would do is we would keep going through. And what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to copy a few of the slides across from the other slide deck. So we've got a few to work with.